Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is safe to say that the new ToA has brought a lot of interesting combat, a lot of interesting accomplishments to Wuthering Waves, but it's also brought a lot of frustration, particularly for some of the individuals that might not be able to actually full clear the game mode. Maybe they're struggling getting to floors 3 and 4. Maybe they're struggling with floors 1 and 2. Maybe they're even struggling with the side towers, or maybe the biggest concern of all, they feel like they don't have enough teams to actually complete this game mode. And so what we're going to be doing today is a bit of a breakdown on my essential tips for those that might be struggling, those that are beginners, those that are maybe free-to-plays that don't have as many resources to spend as other individuals, for how they can actually get that full, potentially 36-star clear. But before we begin, I just want to be upfront about a couple of things when it comes to the ToA. We originally only had about 30 hazard crests that were available, and so the new additions, or around 30 of them, right? And the new additions that have been added essentially add up to 100k shell credits, 240 blue Doritos, and 100 astrite, right? And at the end of the day, if you're an individual who's, the number of characters and the number of teams that you have, that's your concern, well, it turns out that, yes, you might need a team of characters to play the endgame, but we do have a lot of opportunities to lessen the need of specific units because there are a lot of good accessible ones. So those are going to be some of the tips covered. Let's just go ahead. Let's get right on into it and talk about the main one that's going to be top of mind for a lot of individuals. Every single floor in the ToA costs this resource called Vigor. And every single character in the game has 10 Vigor whenever a ToA run begins. And you can see over here, the cost of Vigor rises in the side towers, starting at 1 and then ending at 4. If a character is used for all of these floors, they end up costing around 9 Vigor total. It's the same for the right tower as well. In the middle tower, however, it turns out that every single one of these floors ends up costing around 5 Vigor. And so the end result, right, is that a lot of people might think, oh my gosh, I need to use a full team of 3 on every single floor, so that means I'm going to need 1 team for these 2 floors, 1 team for these 2 floors, that's 2 teams already just for the middle tower, and then I'm going to need 1 team for this whole side, because it's going to take 9, and then I'm going to need not another team for this side. Good golly gee, I'm going to need 4 teams total. Oh, it's not 9? Okay, it's 10. I'm going to need 4 teams total because it's going to be 10 Vigor here. It's going to be 10 over here, and then it's going to be 20 over here. You definitely do need 2 teams for the hazard tower. But the reality of the situation is you need about half of a team for this encounter, maybe 1 team over here, another half team for here, and then that same team that you used on the left side. The reality is you need closer to around 3 and like a quarter teams, maybe 3.5 teams to actually get a full clear in the ToA, and that gets a lot easier depending on what resources you have available. If you're a day 1 player, naturally you're going to have no struggles at all with this tip. But basically, this first tip over here is just make sure you're not using super valuable units or a bunch of units in the first couple of floors of the ToA. You can see over here, these enemies are level 70. Let me just show you what it looks like when I take John Shin, right? A character that nobody is probably using on any of their teams, and I just drop her in.
Embrace the oneness.
So yeah, we're just gonna go in, and you're noticing, right? Oh my gosh, even though my John Shin has 400 HP and she's on moonlit clouds, it seems like we're still getting a pretty decent time here. I'm actually also looking at another screen, so I wasn't hitting the enemies. I'm not doing that great, right? But this is the situation, guys. I get a 3-star on this stage if I clear it with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. I still have 2 whole minutes to finish this stage, and I'm done with the first wave in 30 seconds. So now I can just sort of... Again, you can see the damage is fucking awful, and I am taking some extra time. But remember, the purpose of this, right, is for low investment players. Maybe the free-to-plays, maybe ones that are new to the game. And would you look at that? Let's just take a look at the gear that my John Shin had. Okay, she had a tragic comedy on, right? These are her echoes. You can see over here, I've got 2 HP. I got an HP 1 cost, a defense rejuvenating glow with no substats, and then like 3 actual echoes on the build. And we cleared it with like a minute and 30 seconds left. You can have way less investment and clear it within that, because once again, right, you have 150 seconds left for the clear. It goes down to 180 over here. So you got until like the 2-minute mark. You got 2 minutes and 30 seconds on these 2 floors. Let's just go ahead and let's pretend, right, that I already have a built Sierra Gale set. You can just transfer your Sonata sets from your built characters. This is my example here. I'm taking my Jian set and just putting it on the John Shin. And you know, a better way to demonstrate this is to actually do this. Let's pretend that I have a built Chang Li, but I'm planning on using Chang Li in my other floors that are a little bit higher difficulty. What if I just go ahead and then I find my level 40 might be a little bit too low. What if I just find my Encore that I've benched? She doesn't have any gear on, anything like that. Pretend your Encore is a little bit lower level. She has nothing. What if I just take my Chang Li set that I know I'm going to be using later on in other floors, and I just put my Chang Li's echoes on Encore? I've basically just taken my full build on another unit and then put it on one that's either more accessible, a lower level, just as long as the Sonata set sort of works. But I'm going to be real here. You might be able to just take this Sonata set that you've already built, not even have a set effect active. Fuck it, we'll do this. I'm going to take my Calcharo. I'm going to put on Chang Li set on him. Basically, we're not even taking the time to grind out something new. I'm going to take my Calcharo with Chang Li set and just give it a bit of a go. And we'll see. This guy's level 70. We'll see if he's enough to solo it. And if that doesn't work out, then maybe we'll give him a really low budget teammate to work with. He's got the Chang Li set on. Training Broadblade is probably a little bit rough. Let's pretend you also have like a random weapon that you can throw on as well from one of your other characters. Make sure that you use like a character that you have like a 5-star weapon for. Maybe if you're like taking the Chang Li's build, you put it on like a Dan Jin or something. Doesn't even look that bad. I also don't know how to play this character. Do you see how the performance is looking on like on an Echo set that doesn't match and like a random 5-stars weapon? And remember, I've got a lot of time to do this. I think I only did 2 Death Messengers. So I'm playing this character actually like shit. This is probably the worst Calcharo gameplay on the server. I might get banned in CN for uploading this. And I still have almost 2 minutes. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. This is a level 70 character that I haven't touched since the release of... I was intentionally playing that badly. The one thing you'll have to focus on when you're soloing with very, very low investment, with a very low leveled character, is that, yes, some of the elite mobs can be a little bit strong. How does that not parry? How does that not parry? Wait, what? Does this guy have an active parry on his, like, thing? On his heavy attack? I don't think it can. So now we got a minute left, right? And the nice thing is that when you're, like, solo gaming, getting a break is, like, amazing, right? Because it feels like you could just... Do you see how easy it can be to clear those side towers? I didn't even have an Echo set. I took somebody else's, and then I took somebody else's weapon, and I still had a minute left. If you are wasting the vigor of your built characters on these floors, I don't think you can necessarily complain too much about vigor costs being the reason why you can't clear, because I literally just... It isn't a lot of investment to have a level 70 character. Obviously, the critical stats, they don't look awful. That's because I just took somebody else's weapon and I took somebody else's Sonata set. It doesn't even match. It's the fusion damage one. And then his skills tree looks like this. Guys, I didn't spend a single weekly boss mat on this character. This is about 80 wave plates worth of mats. And then it is super cheap to get somebody to level 70. And then it is clearing on somebody else's Sonata set and somebody else's weapon. It's clearing with a minute left on the second floor. If you're not doing this, then I don't think that you're trying to optimize your ToA strategy. And if you do this, you will have way more vigor. You will have way more resources that you can spend on the harder level floors. And that's where you want to be, on the harder floors, right? That's where you want to save your big hitters. That's where you want to save your units like your Shorekeeper, right? That's where you want to save units like your Verena, the MVPs that are allowing your runs to occur. That's where you save if you have like the Mono Fusion team, right? One of the strongest teams in the game. You save this team for where you're going to need it. Don't use it on this. You don't need that much juice. You can play pretty suboptimally and have a lot of time left. So when it comes to floor 3, this is where stuff can get a little bit tricky, right? Because the timer on the stage actually goes down. You were able to clear with 2:30 left on the clock. It goes down to only 2 minutes on the clock. And this is where you probably want to use a character that's at least like level 90. And this is where some of the concerns can pop in, because the guys on this floor can do a decent chunk of damage. And the annoying part, right, is that you have a vigor cost of about 3 to actually get this one done. And so if I just go in and I use that same Calcharo, I am now under-leveled. I also have less time, and there's probably going to be more enemies. And so let's just go ahead and see how this clear looks. And do recall, right, we're at a lot more danger of potentially dying. So let's see if I can actually go places with this one. This character is so bad. So, as you can all see, right? A lot less flexibility on the timing over here. I'm also getting kind of wrecked because, well, let's just say this floor is a little bit too hard. So what if I go ahead and I realize, man, I need a little bit of backup. My boy Calcharo is not doing too well. What if I just do a bit of a team up? What if I just get the John Shin who's over here with her dog shit build, and we're just like, hey, we've been warming the bench as standard units for the longest time ever. How about we team up and get our time in the sun using everybody else's Sonata set? That sounds good to me, Calcharo. Let's do this. You get the squad ready, right?
Universe in my psyche.
We have like half a Sonata set on this John Jin. And we just take the person that we used on floor 1. We combine it with the person that we used on floor 2, right? Oh, and now we feel like a bit of a gamer. Oh, now I got an outro skill. And so even when I'm on Chang Li's set, I still kind of do some damage. Look at that. And so I basically just took 2 units that I wasn't doing anything with, right? He missed that. This character is so bad. And now we're clearing. Super easy.
Embrace the oneness.
You can tell the gameplay over here is not particularly awe-inspiring. That's the point. I am intentionally playing it kind of shitty so you guys can see just how little you actually need. I might need to actually land more than 50% of my attacks, though. I am literally missing everything. So we might not have enough time because I literally missed everything. And so you can kind of see over here why level 70 might be a little bit rough cutting it. Because your damage scales with your levels. We're against level 80 enemies, right? And so my John Shin, even though she's kind of like a little bit mid on her build, kind of actually is dealing more damage than the Calcharo. Because of, well, he's so low leveled. So hopefully you're beginning to see, right, how these resources can be spread a little bit more. I'm, once again, right, intentionally using really, really, really unbuilt characters, right? And now you can see over here, right? The difficulty has scaled a lot in floor 3. So my recommendation is just take that same sort of strategy, right? But then also make sure that this guy can handle floors 1 and 2 easy on both sides. I could take this Calcharo and then I could proceed to use him here and then also use him here. This is what I mean by you need 3.5 teams, because then you can take the half team that you use over here on floor 3 and then use it on both sides as well. And then you take your full team that's in floor 4. You take that, whatever, that Jinsei team that I was talking about, and then you use it on this side over here. If you're making like a half team, there's a lot of characters that you can choose from. And there's likely a 5-star unit of like some kind that maybe you've pulled, maybe you don't have the full team for them, or, you know, maybe it's a standard unit that you built up to level 90. And if that's the situation, if that's what you've done, if I just decide, right, to take my level 90 John Shin and then actually just, like, actually use her whole kit, then this is what she's capable of. I give her all of my Gion pieces. I decide to, like, actually fully go for it because I'll be using Gion elsewhere. And then I just go ahead and then I give John Shin, like, who's a free, like, sub DPS I could give her. We just go ahead and I give her a Yang Yang that I have sitting on standby. I go ahead, I put, like, a random Moonlit Cloud set, make sure she has that arrow damage bonus. Fuck it, I'm not even gonna give it to her. I'll just throw, like, a random Emerald of Genesis on her, and then give it a bit of a go.
Embrace the oneness.
That did, like, the opposite of grouping. And so, yeah, it's really just that simple, right? I'm using, like, 2 sub-DPS characters. And I'm taking the Echo builds from other units. And so the 3rd floor does require, unfortunately, like, a little bit more investment. But you can see over here, these characters don't really deal that much damage. They're not main DPSs. They're giving outro skills to each other that are kind of not doing a lot. This is very close to low investment. And yes, right, these are level 90 units. But the fact that there's still this much time remaining, I have a full minute left for 1 floor, that shows you can easily do this with probably level 80 ones. I'm also playing like shit. And that's floor 3. That is essentially the best way for an individual to save on that Vigor and actually get some of those cleared. And then I can just take this same exact lineup and I can use it on the opposite side. This is what I'm referring to as the half team. This is the half team. These guys. This floor over here, this is where you end up using your full team. And then you'll just mimic this on both sides. So that's the situation over here when it comes to saving your Vigor, doing all of that. I could repeat it all for this side, but as you can probably see, I might have to, like, switch around the characters a little bit because these are arrow units and we might have to use a different DPS than, like, John Shin. And so definitely make sure you check out the enemy types that you're going to be going against. It's pretty clear that this entire side is Havoc. That other side is Arrow. And so Calcharo, maybe leveling up a little bit more, actually putting Void Thunder or something on him would be the best unit to actually use over here because he can easily handle both sides. You can solo with an easy unit, have your Calcharo pop in here and here, get a random level 60 unit to solo this, and then have Calcharo pop in here and here. And that's basically the way that you want to go about it. This floor with the level 70 enemies is so trivial and so simple that, like, I'm pretty sure you can clear it with, like, level 60 ones because there's almost no effort involved with this one. It's basically a gimme. it also costs only 1 Vigor. This is also the other situation that you can do. You'll notice that this last floor only costs 4 Vigor. You can actually use your last floor team in the first slot as well, if that's something that you want to do, because then that'll add up to 4 and 1. But using like a fully capped out team, let's just see what it looks like as an example. Using like a fully capped out team on this floor is ridiculous. But you can do it. There's no reason not to do it because you only have 4 energy for the last floor on the other side. You could very easily, right, just use it here as well. But yeah, you won't even get through like half of a rotation. My Cancerella doesn't even have an Echo set on. And I think Jinxie has a trading sword. Okay, that's a good equalizer. That's a good equalizer. Yeah, she has a trading sword. Yeah, she doesn't have her weapon, and Cancerella doesn't have a Sonata set. But yeah, it's one side. That's it. The first floors are incredibly easy. 4 energy, 1 energy. Use the same teams here and here. Use a half team here and here. Use the same teams here and here that you used on the other side, and then the half teams here and here. The only issues that you'll have with this strategy, and this is where the real advantage of roster building is when you're in a situation where the team you're using on this side, or the team that you want to use on like the side floors, is Arrow. And then that means, oh my gosh, I won't deal any damage to that side. Or the team that you want to use on the other side is Havoc. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'll deal no damage on this side. That's when you can go ahead and take those teams that you feel like you can't use on those sides. You just take them into the middle tower, somewhere in here, right? Because chances are, and you'll notice this, I think this is something very interesting Kuro has done, and I think they might keep doing it. These bosses are Havoc resistant. These bosses are Arrow resistant, but then the middle tower is Havoc and Arrow weak. So, the teams that you're not able to use here because of this resistance, you should theoretically be able to pop them into the middle tower instead. So, any team that you use should functionally have some sort of spot in the ToA. You might use one team over here because it's not Havoc, and then use that same team on one of these floors instead. Maybe I run my Frolova team over here, deal with the Arrow boss, but I can't use my Frolova team over here. I'll just throw my Frolova in the middle tower where there's a Havoc weakness. So you guys see what's going on right now, right? The system seems to be designed in a way that regardless of what the resistance happens to be, there's probably a good chance that you can still use that team in both places, or at least use like the full 10 energy of the team, the full 10 vigor. You need 2 full teams over here. That is without a doubt something you need to do. But what you also want to make sure of is that this is where your Varina's getting used. This is where your Shorekeeper is getting used. This is where the hardest hitters on your account go, because these stages easily require the most investment out of all of the ones in the game. This is not as difficult as this. When you have like a attribute resistance that you can work with, this is incredibly beneficial to work alongside. And so it's almost guaranteed that the teams you can't use on the side floors, you'll be able to use them here. However, there are also teams that you feel like you can't use in the middle tower. What if I have really good Spectro teams and really good Glacio teams? Well, then use them in the side tower where there's a Spectro weakness, or use them in the other tower where there's an Electro weakness, but clearly, right, you can use your Glacio team here as well because there's no Glacio resistant enemies. It's a lot about like the planning of your resources, where you're going to put the teams, and just making sure that your investments make the most sense. Now that we're in the middle tower, this is basically going to be a little bit more of like an investment guide of just how far you can go without spending too many resources. You're going to notice over here something interesting. My Varina is level 80. That's because there are certain characters that don't really gain that much from leveling them up, and there are some characters that are really beneficial to actually level up. If there's a priority list for who you should be leveling up on your teams, it should always be your main damage dealer first, followed by another main damage dealer, followed by a third main damage dealer. If these types of characters aren't the main ones that you're leveling up to 90, maxing out their skills for, you are not going to be clearing the ToA that quickly. You're going to take much longer than other players. Don't focus on doing something like this. I really like this Jinxie Varina Cantarella team. I'm going to raise raise all of them to level 90 because this team, I want it to be really strong. You are preventing yourself from clearing the ToA. The main damage dealer is the one that requires the most levels and investment. Investing in their echoes, their skills, all of their stuff, their weapon, is going to yield you way more returns on your team's overall performance than investing in any of these other characters. And so what that often means is that these guys might be the last leveled up on your account. The order really is 1, 2, 3, but you want to do all the ones across all your different DPSs first, the ones that you actually plan on using. We're going to do a bit of a comparison run. And this is kind of like just going to be evident of what exactly I'm talking about over here. Let's say that we have this fight. Enemies havoc resistance and arrow resistance reduced by 10%. Let's just say I use the team that I'm supposed to use, right? Let's just say I use Frolova. We're going to do 2 comparisons. What does it look like when I take all of my Frolova's investment away? And what does it look like when I take the investment of her teammates away? Oh, dearie me, this is going to be quite an interesting one. So you can see my Canterella over here. She's got Whispers of Sirens. I'm just going to leave her like this. Actually, she's going to need some ER. Let me just go ahead, leave her like this, and then give her a level 1 weapon. I'm going to give her a Training Rectifier. Basically, make her dog shit. 1311 attack. She's basically not doing anything. She's worse than like a level 70 unit. I'm going to take my Rosia and then give her a Training Gauntlet. And we're going to see how the team does. All right, we got our Frolova rotation down. Looking pretty good. Oh, dear. I fucking hate this character. She's so bad. So you're beginning to notice, oh man, the damage isn't amazing, Saint. That's because I have 2 characters on my team that don't have anything. But it's not awful either. And this is all being done with level 1 weapons on my other characters. They literally are barely dealing damage. This Rosia is doing 16k a bounce. That did 24k. It's almost cosmetic what these guys are providing to the team right now. And we're still clearing. This is what it's like having investment on your main DPS. You can actually not really have it on your other teammates. And yes, your clear time is not going to be amazing, right? But that's the bar that's kind of like in this game. All right, let Hikari finish it off. There you go. Boom. Still 3-starring it. Why don't we go ahead? Why don't we flip the script? Why don't we put a level 1 weapon on my Frolova and then give everybody else their weapons? And let's just see how it goes. I'm investing in my sub DPSs right now, and I decided to say my main DPS is using a training. Honestly, she might still be fine. Wait, my echoes are so good, she might... That actually looks fine. That looks like somebody's completed build. Okay, that is dog shit. Oh, yeah, we might be fucked. Never mind. I might have spoke too soon. Woo! Look at that! Boom! Boom! Tragic comedy! It's a tragic comedy! Hey guys, does this... Are you beginning to see right now what I mean by making sure that you're investing in certain parts of the team first? Oh, shit. I kind of griefed this. Okay, all right. You know what? This is not even my fault. When you deal more damage, it deals more damage to the break bar. And so, Frolova's break damage is literally non-existent because she's dealing no damage. So yeah, usually I'd knock that guy out of the sky, but not really right now. Are you guys beginning to see what's going on over here? And you want to know why I use this team as an example? Because all 3 members of this team deal damage. Imagine that I'm doing this in the Mortify Augusta team. This would only look worse. And so this is a team with like 2 sub DPSs, right? Not like a healer like Shorekeeper that does actually no damage, but like a healer like Cantarella who does a decent amount. And it's still doing this badly with weapons on 2 characters versus a weapon on 1 of them. Yes, we still clear, right? Because of what I said before about those other characters dealing damage. If this is with like Augusta, if this is in like the Jinsei team, if this is in like any team that has Shorekeeper on it, and the sub DPS has the weapon, and the main DPS doesn't, yeah, it's not really gonna work out that well. So yeah, that's what it looks like over there when your main DPS is the one that isn't invested in. And when they are, and you shrug off the investment for these 2 characters, you're still getting some pretty comfortable clears. This is actually the basis of one of these builds that I call, and I have coined, the naked build. The naked build is, in my opinion, literally one of the most powerful things that any like free-to-play, low-spender, beginner player can do. And the reason why it's powerful is quite simple. This is my Sanhua that I actively use in endgame content. You might be saying, Saint, are you stupid? This Sanhua looks like she's level 5, but she's level 90. That's because I put an overture on her and plus 0 echoes. I'm gonna take my Camellia, who is built. I'll have her signature and absolutely no investment on my Sanhua. And this is what I'm about to do. You saw me go into this zone. I'm actually gonna go into this zone. I'm gonna go into the hardest content that is currently in the game, at least in the ToA, and I'm gonna put in my naked Sanhua, and we're gonna give it a bit of a try. Obviously, I'm gonna be doing some slightly sweatier tech, but if I'm trying to clear the ToA on a budget, I'm gonna have to get a little bit sweaty with it. Did they get sent to hell? Boom! All right, there we go. Now, that is how different your clears can look depending on RNG. Of, like, what the bosses decide they want to do first. You can clearly see over here, right? That was a lot better. Boom! And remember, this is all being done with a... Oh my god! My Shorekeeper doesn't have echoes. Hey, we were doing pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of decent considering she had no ER. That was a naked Shorekeeper as well. Do not go naked Shorekeeper. She likes having her build. Yeah, don't do that. What am I doing here? Yeah, now we have the rejuvenating glow attack buff. We got all that shit right now. So it should be a lot. Should be a lot better. Yeah, we're doing literally more damage. Bro, he just grabbed me by my fucking dome and slammed me into the ground. Bro, that animation is insane. He literally like fucking picks you up like a claw machine. How did she not? Oh my god. There we go. All right, we're looking pretty good here. I kind of messed that one up a little bit there. Yeah, so we're actually behind that other team, or that other run, because unfortunately, right, I messed up a little bit with my Sanhua gameplay, and I also missed a couple of crits on Camellia. But we're still maintaining, I think, pretty decent time. We might have to restart. But that's just the thing that comes with clearing this floor. Sometimes missing those crits can be one of, like, the worst things that can happen in your rotation. And it is what it is, right? I think we have a decent shot of clearing here. And once again, right, this is being done with the naked build. We don't have any investment at all except an R2 ER weapon on our Sanhua when she's a character that literally doesn't really need ER. Not a clear? Yeah, we probably need to save a little bit of extra time at the start. But as you can see, right, the vision is literally there. And with like one crit, that clears. We're about half the rotation off. With one crit anywhere else in that fight, we clear it. That is what you're capable of with a build that is that bad. And that is how important it is to invest in your main DPS, and you can really easily forego some of the investments on pretty much all of your other characters. There are definitely some optimizations you can make against the enemies that can probably comfortably clear with around 15 seconds left with all of those optimizations actually put in. And this is being done with literally the most dog shit builds you can have on the character. The build literally cannot get worse. You cannot have lower investment than this. And this is enough for a limited character from version 1.4 of the game. She was released almost a year ago. That is enough for this character to clear. Obviously, Shorekeeper's helping a lot. Most people do have her, though. She's on the beginner banner for a reason. That's the situation over here, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just give her a try on this floor. Camellia is also a unit that can perform pretty decently on this floor as well. She's got a couple more hoops to jump through with the Lampy Loom and Myriad, but she also doesn't have to worry about grouping nearly as much because, well, there's only a boss, and she has pretty good tracking in her single target form. Try EOG. So this is my take. If I'm already not having a build on the character and you're also asking me to use the free-to-play weapon while also not having a build on my unit, you're asking for too much. It's one or the other. You cannot expect me to clear this mode with both a free-to-play weapon and no build on my sub DPS. If you're looking for both, I'm gonna call you a fucking idiot. However, if you're just asking me to test it out, let me just give you the answer. It's not going to clear. Using the free-to-play standard weapon while also not building a character on your team is not going to clear against two bosses. That's just how it is. And if you can't accept that fact, that's unfortunate. Go start building your Sanhua. Go start building your Rosia. But to just go ahead and use a character, if you're going to invest super poorly on the Sonata set side, then I hope you are writing the investment somewhere else on maybe like the weapon side. Weapons scale exponentially based off of how good your echo sets are. And so the better your echo set is, the better your weapon is. We're just amplifying the potential of one unit on the team, disregarding the other ones, and that is enough power to clear the content. One signature weapon on a team in a game where they're guaranteed, and that clears. Because once again, we literally just showed you the Frolova gameplay where we have two characters and they're on training rectifiers, and that's clearing with 45 seconds left. These guys were literally on fucking training rectifiers or training gauntlet. Let's continue on with this run and just give a test for how it looks. There we go. That was a little bit annoying. We did have to run after him a little bit. There we go. That's looking a little bit better. Yeah, he's broken. There we go. Did I really miss that crit there? Oh, dear. Yeah, this run is low-key cooked. Oh, yeah, we missed basically everything there. Holy moly. I missed 2 ephemerals? Okay. All right. Well, if we clear missing 2 ephemerals, if we clear missing the crit on 2 of Camellia's biggest nukes in her kit, then, yeah, I mean, what can I really say, man? Oh, we missed that one too. Oh, this game just fucking hates me right now. Hey, we didn't miss that one though. Oh, but I'm frozen. Okay, well, I mean, there's not too much I can do over there, man. That is a little bit rough. That is a little bit rough. Yeah, honestly, I think this actually does, in fact, clear with any of those ephemerals critting, because as far as I'm concerned, this guy's actually getting melted. Yeah, no, this one clears too. Yeah, with any of those crits landing, yeah, this guy's dead. But unfortunately, we missed all of them. So, yeah. Yeah, he's fucked. 1 crit, he's fucked. So, it basically was the fact that we missed 2 crits at 80% crit on the biggest nuke in our kit, and that's the only reason why that team doesn't clear. And I'm gonna be real here, right? I can play that a lot better. And there are ways that I can play a lot better. These 3 floors have a buff where you're shielded after you use a liberation, and if you damage an enemy while you're shielded, they take 10% more damage. I had no uptime on that shield because I got hit repeatedly. And I was basically clearing with a level 0 support, S0R1 character, level 0 support, without using the buff or even trying to use the buff at all. And Camellia is one of the best characters to utilize this buff because her dodge counters are insane. And so a character that can, A, not get hit, dodge a lot, has an even easier time clearing because they're actually maximizing the uptime of this 10% damage increase buff. So I can even optimize that clear further. This is what I mean by I'm only playing a little bit sweaty, doing a swap cancel, but I'm kind of doing the rest of the rotation kind of like a casual, like a noob, right? Just following a rotation piece by piece. There's still room to optimize and further speed up those runs. And the only reason why we don't clear is maybe missing a crit. Maybe if we interact with the buff better, we can clear while missing the crit. Hopefully this overview, right? Hopefully this guide, hopefully the demos that we've done, the investments that we've shown, the builds that you've looked at, make it a lot more clear where you as a player should be investing. And so like I said before, right, I would say if your goal is to clear the ToA, get 3 DPS characters first. Those are the guys that need your investment the most. Units like these. After you've gotten all of these guys ready to go, then you start getting some of the sub DPS characters, right? Units like these, you start getting them up to speed. They're second after you've built every other DPS that you have. And then at the very last place, right, you got your supports. You don't even need to level up your Verita. You can keep her at level 50. Shorekeeper. Just get her to 230, 240 ER. You're good. Her damage sort of is cool, but it doesn't matter that much. These guys are the last priority. And once you've got those 3 teams ready to go, then you're pretty much good. Because all you need in the side towers, right, are basically like the rejects of your account. The ones that you haven't really used yet. You don't need a 4th team. Because you can just make do with whatever you have over here in these first 2 zones, and then do the same thing on the other side. And it's really just that simple. A lot of people have had some misconceptions about just the resources that are required for the ToA. They're going in, they're building 4 full teams, they're leveling like a team up with the main DPS first, and then they don't even address the other main DPSs until the first team is fully built. Build your teams piecemeal, have priorities, and you will be clearing this endgame mode a lot faster than you might think. You gotta know the right order of doing things, and the right way to allocate the resources if your goal is to complete this as soon as possible. And of course, right, naturally you'll get to a point as you play the game more and more where the ToA becomes more of like a challenge of deciding who to fucking play because, well, you invested in so many different characters. I feel like I'm in a position to make this video because, yes, it's a concern I had before, but these are the same strategies that I'm telling you now that have allowed me to clear this very early on in release, and then I've been full clearing it ever since. Once you do your first full clear in this game mode, typically it only gets easier to keep doing more full clears because you just have more resources to play around with. And admittedly, there is value in leveling up the 4 stars, maybe the unused characters on your account, because then that gives you an opportunity to test them out maybe in the side 2 floors a little bit. That'll be that for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know how you thought about these ToA tips and whether or not they're helpful for you moving forward. Peace out.